Good morning, stamping friends. Welcome. I'm Pat Fairless, and I'm from Fairless Stamp and Flair, and I'm here today with Learning with Friends. This is my weekly video series that I attempt to show you a technique that may be new, or maybe I'm just reminding you of something you already know and haven't done for a while. So today I have a technique called Embossed Kisses. I love the name of it. As we get closer to the next holiday of Valentine's Day, something with kisses seemed appropriate. So I had not done this before, and you hear that a lot each time, don't you? That I'd not done it before. I should show you my technique, maybe my technique book. Maybe I'll show you that at the end, and just hold it up and show how big it is. And it has tons of things in it that I've never done. I've just come across them at some point in the last 15 years, and I stuck a reminder of the technique in there. So I'm starting to go through that this year, and we'll pull out some of the oldies but goodies. So today we're going to do embossed kisses. So let's go ahead and flip the camera down and get started. All right, the first thing you see here is the celebration brochure, and I stuck that here because for all of the cards I'm going to do today, I am using one of the designer series papers from the celebration. It is a celebration item that is free with a $50 order, and it's called Softly Stippled. It's a 12 by 12 designer series paper, and I used it for every one of the cards today. And I don't usually take time to show you products very much, but this paper is really, really pretty. And sometimes it's hard to see things in the catalogs or even online, right? So I just thought I'd show you quickly some of the prints. It coordinates with a stamp set in the mini catalog that has these stippled types of flowers. But you can see that the colors in here are Pool Party, Wild Wheat, Pebbled Path, Calypso Coral. And I'll be honest, I never would have ever put Wild Wheat and Calypso Coral together, but you can see it's very pretty. And I don't know that I'd stuck Pebbled Path in there, other than Wild Wheat and Pebbled Path are both in colors. And so let me flip these over so you can see the back sides. The back sides are a little less stippled, but there's also beautiful watercolor or what it looks like dry brushed patterns in here. I love this particular one with Pebbled Path. Here's a bright Calypso Coral one. So it's a nice versatile designer series paper collection. So I just thought I'd show you that quickly. So let's go ahead with Embossed Kisses. We do not need many supplies. As you might guess, we need an embossing folder. I tried several different ones. This is one of my favorites. It is the crosshatch. It's hard to see, I'm sure, on camera. It's the crosshatch pattern from the Basics embossing folders, which are an online exclusive. I've used this one to death. I hope they keep it forever. It's a nice, soft, subtle background, and it worked very well, surprisingly, with this technique. I also used a couple others, and I'll show you the cards with all of them. This one turned out to be my favorite, so I am going to show and demonstrate using this one. We need some cardstock. I just have a piece of scrap basic white here. I didn't try it with colors. I only tried it with basic white. And the two ink colors I'm going to use, so this is what you need: embossing folder, some designer series paper, a couple of colors of ink, and stamps that are a solid image. Now, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. I don't have many stamps that are solid images. Most of them are either line art or they're the distinctive. I did try one of the distinctive that did work fairly well, but it does work best with a nice solid image stamp. So I'm going to use this stamp from the Sending Smiles stamp set, which is this one right here, and we're going to use just some of these flowers. I'm just going to use a couple of them to show you. So here's what we do. We, on our embossing folder, and you can use either side. In fact, I think I'll show it to you on both sides, just so you can see the difference. But we're gonna start with this one, and I'm gonna put, I've got Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock. So I am going to ink my embossing folder with Pretty Peacock. And you can do this one in a couple ways. You can use your brayer. You can just use your ink pad direct to those embossing folder. I'm just going to use the ink pad. It seems to be the little bit quicker, easier way to do it. And I did ink this up. And I think I've used this embossing folder so much that I get some spots where I'm not getting ink. So it's probably not entirely flat. Either that or my embossing folder's not flat. But just push hard and get that nicely inked up. So we don't need a whole surface colored. We just need enough for the size of our stamp. So now we're going to ink our stamp, and I'm going to use Lost Lagoon. And you can either use full strength or stamped off. I'm going to bring in my stamping mat here, my piercing mat, just because this is a 4-polymer stamp set, and it tends to work a little bit better if you have a softer surface. Some stamps work fine, but we're just going to do it on this. I am going to stamp off. So I want some area over here. So I'm going to ink this up with Lost Lagoon. And I'm just checking it to make sure it is nicely inked. And I'm going to stamp off. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put my stamp on my embossing folder. And you want to press fairly hard because you're picking up the ink off from the embossing folder, then pick straight up. Try not to twist. It can be a little bit difficult because it's slippery. And then we're just going to stamp on our cardstock. And can you see the flower? It's got crosshatches in it. Isn't that cool? I thought that was really fun. So let me just, in case you want to do it once more, I got Lost Lagoon on here. I'm stamping off. And I'm going to pick a different spot that I didn't pick up ink from before. And we're just going to go straight down and straight up as best we can. And stamp it on our card. And I think that's so cool. Yeah. So let me show you what happened. So that was with the side that I would call the deboss side. It is the side that has the Stampin' Up! Logo on it. Let's ink the other side. And with Pretty Peacock again. And yeah, you see either my ink pad or my embossing folder is a little bit not flat. So I just want to make sure it's well inked. And let's try this little flower. This is a little kind of almost looks like a daisy, I guess. So again, we'll ink it up with the Lost Lagoon. And I'm going to stamp off. And I'm doing a pretty heavy stamp off to get a fair amount of it off. And then let's go ahead and stamp and pick up from here. And you will definitely see a difference. In this case, the lines are dark and the spaces are light. Let me do it with the same stamp, the larger one, so we can just compare, maybe a little easier. So there's our Lost Lagoon, stamp off, and I'm going to go back to this side, second side, and we'll pick up down here in the corner. I don't think I used the corner, did I? Maybe I should add a little bit just in case. It's hard to remember where you picked up ink from. So I'm going to pick up ink over here, up, and stand up. Now you can see the difference. One has the crosshatch lines light and one has them dark. It's just a matter of preference. I kind of like this one. I found I got a little bit more consistency for some reason, which is the side with the Stampin' Up! Logo on it, which I call the embossed side. So that is the technique. How easy is that? Now let me show you the card. That's the fun part, right? I think you've seen that enough times to figure out how to do it. So I'm going to show you the card that I made. Get my embossing folder out of my way. That I made with that and the stippled. Oops, there's my little sample. Bring this up close so you can see the flowers. And then the pretty designer series paper. Isn't that great? Paper pretty. And this is with the Sending Smiles. On the inside, I just stamped directly onto my card. These were stamped and then die cut with the coordinating dies from Sending Dies. Interestingly, this is Lost Lagoon and Wild Wheat, which are the colors in this paper, and Pool Party. I would have never put those two colors together, but I think it's a nice combination. All right, so that's that card. Now, I have two more cards I'm going to show you. The next one was actually my very first attempt, and I used this pretty paper, which is Calypso Coral, Wild Wheat, and Pebbled Path. So I've got a Pebbled Path card base. This is a bit of a fun fold on here. And for this card, I used the Countryside Blossoms embossing folder. So it's definitely very different from the crosshatch. And the two colors I used are Calypso Coral and Pebbled Path. This one I did not stamp off on the Calypso Coral. I did it full strength. And I used this stamp set, which is Softly Said, which has a bit of a variation, kind of like our distinctive stamps do. Makes it look like a bit of a watercolor, but you can see it still worked on there. There was enough solid surface to be able to see the pattern from the embossing folder. On the embossing folder, I had the Pebbled Path, and I stamped the stamp onto Calypso Coral. So that is that card. And on the inside, I just went to my go-to solution for the inside, which is a strip of designer series paper. So this is just an easy, fun fold, kind of a double flap vertically. And then the last card I made is a Valentine's card. And I used the Be My Valentine stamp set. And for this, I used this heart. Okay. And the embossing folder that I used was from Geometric Patterns. And I used the one down here at the bottom, which has 3 different patterns. And each of these were big enough to stamp a heart on. So that gave me 3 different heart designs. And here I used the Pebbled Path stippled roses. I think the roses look like roses to me. And then my embossed kisses are done with Moody Mauve and Blackberry Bliss. I had Moody Mauve on the stamp and Blackberry Bliss on the embossing folder. And you can see I ended up with one of each pattern. I've got the stripes from here. We've got the little chevrons from the center, and then the dashes or the straight lines here from the other side. So I thought that turned out kind of cute. I was happy with that. I did also play with both sides of that embossing folder. This was on the side, the deboss side, or the side with the Stampin' Up! Logo on it. And these here were from the other folder, the ones that just have a lot of little triangles on it. And these were actually, I believe, from the other side of the folder, I think. And the two lighter ones here were stamped off, and this one I just experimented. I did not stamp off, so this was Moody Mauve, Full Strength, and Blackberry Bliss. And it gives a little less distinction, but it's just whatever look you're after. So this is one of those techniques where you're going to want to play around on some scrap paper and with some different colors. Believe me, I did have a couple that went into the trash barrel that did not look very good. At least I didn't like them. So, and again, my fallback here is just this little decorative strip. So those are our 3 cards for today. What do you think? Isn't that a fun technique? It's very easy. You don't need a lot of stuff. You don't need really anything special that you wouldn't already have. You will want to experiment with different embossing folders. Some embossing folders I used really didn't turn out very well, and it was hard to determine why they did and why they didn't. At first I thought I needed patterns that were a little maybe lighter, like this one, or even these where it's kind of like more of a equal amount of each raised and lowered surface. But then when I did the cross hatch, that's all very fine lines. And I'll be honest, that's probably between this one with the geometric patterns embossing folder and this one here with the crosshatch basics embossing folder are probably my 2 favorites. This one is okay. I think it looks fine for the card it is. And maybe if I had a larger solid surface stamp, like a large circle or oval or something, this bigger pattern maybe would have looked better, but these smaller, finer ones kind of worked better here. So I'm going to flip back to my camera and we will wrap this up. Again, I think this is a technique you probably will want to play around a little bit before you get into your card to figure out which colors you like best together. You can see both of mine, the Moody Mauve and the Blackberry Bliss and the Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock are basically similar colors, just different. One's darker, one's lighter. The other one, Calypso Coral and Pebbled Path, are totally different colors. And I'm guessing that just depending on what colors, you're going to get a totally different look. So, and what folder. So it is one of those I think you'll want to play and experiment with and just have some fun. It's quick, it's easy, and we all have lots of basic white scraps laying around, right? It's a good way to just play and have some fun. So I hope you like that. And if you did, will you give me a thumbs up and subscribe and share it so we can continue to get new people to learn and have fun together. Thank you. Welcome to all those that have subscribed in the last week or so. It's awesome to watch my channel grow. It's fun, but the main thing, I hope I shared something that maybe you'll try and you've learned, and if nothing else, you've had fun and you don't feel like you wasted 15 minutes of your time. So next week, I will be back with something else. I don't totally have my 2024 act together yet. Like I said, I'm going to probably just work my way through this technique book. Let me just grab it and I will show it to you. This is my technique book. It is a binder, large binder, filled with different techniques. And like I said, I've been collecting them for a long time. So it's time I tried some of them. Some of them I have tried, obviously. Many of them I have, but there's a lot in there as I went through it. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember saving this, but I didn't do it. So we're going to work our way through that this year. And if you guys see a technique that you would like to have me try and demonstrate, I'd love to have you leave me a comment. I'm looking to learn too. This is just not a one-way street, me teaching you. You can teach me things too, right? So I always say, any day I learn something is a good day. So I hope you learned something today, and I hope you have a great day. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.